Well, in a fashion not dissimilar from the girl from The Ring, but if she were a washing machine, the washer-dryer is coming out of the well and ready to begin the final adventure in Mad Monster Mansion, which I'm going to fondly refer to as Washer-Dryer's Final Adventure in Mad Monster Mansion. I am of course Grim Grindle, and what you're watching is the Washer-Dryer Challenge of Banjo-Kazooie, in which I attempt to see how far I can get through the game while playing as the transformation from the Wishy-Washy Banjo cheat code. Several commenters and Mumbo Jumbo himself have informed me that the challenge is in fact impossible, but I'm committed to see how far we can get regardless. And speaking of anthropomorphic household conveniences, we are on this screen joined by Logo, the fully sentient toilet, which I've got to say has got to be one of the most nightmarish existences ever dreamt of by man. I don't know what our porcelain prince did in a previous life to deserve such a punishment, but I assume it was so terrible that all other monsters in Mad Monster Mansion cower before his monstrosities. And we can only hope there's not a Hellenistic style ironic punishment, because that would really have some unpleasant implications. But let's move on at a rather rapid pace, because it's time to fast forward for a bit until we get to the next area of importance. And we're better to slow things down for a bit of a speller than the bedroom, where, interestingly, we have a photo of our good old friend Captain Black-Eye, who we actually in reality don't meet until the sequel of Banjo-Tooie at Jolly Roger's Lagoon. But more importantly, as you just saw, it's also the home of the Yellow Jinjo, who clearly doesn't know how to use a bed because he's not only sleeping on top of the covers, but was even residing on top of the canopy. This room also has two treasure chests that don't open, which I've always found a bit strange. It seems like an obvious place to hide collectibles, and they seem strangely unused. Also, I'm not sure if they're supposed to imply that this is Captain Black-Eye's room. I mean, he is a pirate, and they do seem to be pirate chests, but on the other hand, what kind of narcissist has a picture of themselves on their bedroom wall? Whatever the case, between the decorum of this room, Captain Blubber, Captain Black-Eye, Treasure Trove Cove, and Jolly Roger's Lagoon, it does make you wonder if Rare doesn't have a thing for pirates, and further just how long they've been wanting to make a game like Sea of Thieves. But that's getting off track and is neither here nor there, so let's return to the task at hand, which is climbing on the roof as if we're Scott Calvin. Which, by the way, since I've now mentioned Scott Calvin, makes this not only a Halloween episode, but also a Christmas episode, which is not a bad effort for a video coming out in June. Nor is it a bad effort that we've now gotten all the Jinjos for Mad Monster Mansion and have been awarded our 6th Jiggy for the level. However, having done so, there's little else more of importance to do on the roof aside from collecting some more music notes, so let's fast forward once more until we find our way to the chimney. And once we're there, much like a more successful version of the girl's father from Gremlins, we drop down the chimney in a very sneaky manner. Well, actually the manner is Mad Monster Mansion. I mean more specifically the washer-dryer is behaving in a very sneaky nature. And as well it should be, as what we're currently doing is sneaking up to steal a Jiggy from Slimer's less slimy cousin, which is the 7th Jiggy won for this level, which gives me a real uplifting feeling, not unlike this flight pad, which is likely the most pointless flight pad in all of Banjo-Kazooie. The only thing it gives you access to is the chandelier, which has one single extra life on it, and aside from that, there's really nothing in this room. I remember back in the day, I explored the room ad nauseum, thinking that surely there was some other hidden secret here, but as far as I'm aware, there's really not. I mean, you can't even fly up the chimney, which I think would have been a really obvious Easter egg to hide here. But whatever, we've gotten a Jiggy and ruined a ghost day, so let's move on. And as we move on, it's time to fast forward once more, because it's time to start stopping being a washer-dryer briefly, because since it's Halloween, Christmas in June, it's time to get our October on and become a pumpkin. But let's not stay normal speed for too long, because what we're doing right now is a lot of backtracking, with not much importance going on aside from collecting collectibles we missed as Banjo. We've now gotten the 100 music notes, so that's one achievement, but let's not dwell on it too much, because when all that you are is a pumpkin, you can't really afford to get a swollen head, as it would no doubt impede your mobility, and after all, it's time to get back up on the roof. The reason we're up here is threefold. Firstly, because it's the only way to get to the gutters, secondly, because it's the only way to get to the loo, and thirdly, because, for some reason, it's also where a honeycomb piece is hidden. And while I don't want to quote Arch directly, but if you've got honeycomb pieces hidden underneath your floorboards, well, that's how you're gonna get ants, isn't it? And I know what you're thinking, but Grim, it's a Mad Monster Mansion, it's filled with ghosts and ghouls and skeletons and weird painting worms. I understand that, but my counter to that is just because you're a horrific demon beast doesn't mean you should keep an untidy home. As the great poet and Prince of Darkness Ozzy Osbourne once pointed out, even Hades has Kerberos and so occasionally must pick up doggy doo. That's just responsible home ownership, and Kerberos has 3 heads, so chances are Hades himself picks up 3 times the doggy doo as most dog owners often do. But I digress quite far actually, as we're now paying a visit to our Porcelain Princess pipelines. It's a dirty job, but someone has to do it, and while I wish it wasn't me, I'm glad that for our efforts we've been awarded the 8th Jiggy for the level. And I suppose on the bright side, the chances of this pumpkin being devoured by a predator has now been significantly lowered. And with that, it's time to fast forward once more, as nothing else of importance is really happening until right about now, where we're dropping down on another Jiggy. And that's about a wrap for Mad Monster Mansion. If you missed the previous episodes, shame on you, but luckily for you they're available on YouTube, so you can go back and watch them. But to fill in what's happened, we've now got all of the music notes on Mad Monster Mansion, I think, got all of the honeycombs, as far as I remember, and we've also got 9 of the 10 Jiggies. The only one we ended up missing on this level is the puzzle one within the crypt, where you have to ride on Tumbler, and as it turns out, that challenge was entirely impossible to do as the washer dryer, as the Tumbler never even recognized our presence. Which I suppose is somewhat disappointing, especially considering that we were so close to 100%ing this level as the washer dryer. Though that said, 9 out of 10 is better than what we've gotten on some other levels, and is actually better than what I expected. And so while it would be disappointing and rather annoying if we end up failing the washer dryer challenge by 1 Jiggy, I don't think in truth we can really blame it on our efforts in Mad Monster Mansion alone. And even more so in regards to imminent failure, we're not there yet. Though apparently this challenge is entirely impossible, we're still going to be able to continue on at least a little bit further. The overworld switch has been hit and the water rises, giving us access to the next level, which is nice because I'm not really patient enough to wait for global warming to raise the water levels for us. And so with that, this episode of Washer Dryer and the final adventure of Washer Dryer in Mad Monster Mansion has come to an end. And so as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, I have been and still am Grim Grindle. If you want to follow me on social media, a link to my Twitter is in the description below, and if you would like to join the Channel Grim and Grin Discord, the Echo Chamber, a link to that is also available.